So now we are on part writing assignment number 4. Think for a moment about part writing assignments 1, 2, and 3. All the progressions that you wrote featured only the chords 1, 5, and 1. That was root movement by 4th and 5th, tonic, dominant, tonic, a tonic prolongation. In part writing assignment number 4, we are specifically using root movement by step. What's an example of root movement by step? For example, when tonic moves to 7 diminished, or when tonic in a minor key moves to 2 diminished, or in a major key when 4 goes to 5, in a minor key when 4 progresses to 5, or when 5 moves to 6, which in a minor key is 5 to 6. Any type of progression in which one Roman numeral only moves by step to the next Roman numeral, meaning the roots of adjacent Roman numeral, the roots of adjacent Roman numerals are a step apart. If they're a step apart, there will be no common tones. You want to move contrary to the bass. And this is specifically when voice leading diminished triads. Remember that when you are voicing diminished triads, that means the third of the diminished triad is in the bass. We only use first inversion triads when the chord quality is diminished, and we're going to double the third, which means we're going to, because it's a first inversion triad, which means the third is in the bass, we're going to double the third, which is saying we're going to double the bass. Tonic chord to a 7 diminished in first inversion that then moves on to a tonic chord in first inversion will feature a voice exchange between the bass and either the soprano, alto, or tenor. So let's look at measure 1. By Roman numerals, 1 in root position in C minor to the leading tone, triad, 7 diminished. Notice the leading tone notated, the leading tone with an accidental, and back, and then it's going to continue on to 1, 6. So the bass is do, re, mi. Notice that the soprano 1, 7, 1, and the first measure of every system you will write the scale degree numbers for the soprano. Lead sheet symbol, we start on C, E flat, G. Move to B natural, well, I should have put a natural there, B natural diminished triad over a D, because D is what's in the bass. And C, and that should be C over E flat, because it's the C in first inversion with E flat. Make sure you add that in your lead sheet symbols. The intervals between the soprano and bass, C, C, octave. D up to B natural is a 6th. E flat up to C is a 6th. So 8, 6, 6 as far as your soprano bass counterpoint. Now let's look at the leading tone. Let's look at the voice leading. From C, E flat, G, B natural, D, F, and then back over to C, E flat, G. There are no common tones. There are no common tones when the root movement is by step, when the Roman numerals are adjacent numbers. So, and we want contrary motion. Soprano, alto, tenor move contrary to the bass. So as C moves to D, notice that the bass ascends, tenor descends, alto descends, soprano descends, and everybody moves to the closest chord tone. So C moves to B natural, E flat steps down to D, G steps down to F, and the result is D, F, D, B. So the result is root, third, third, fifth. Diminished triad, first inversion, third in the bass, you double the third which is in the bass. Moving to 1, 6. It's a minor chord, it's in first inversion. We're going to attempt to double the root. You don't always have to, but that's your best starting place. As the D in the bass moves up to E flat, notice that in order for the F to move by step, it creates parallel thirds with the bass. D, F, both step up, E flat, G. The B natural, which was a sixth in this between the bass and the soprano, parallel sixth as the 7 diminished sixth moves to 1/6. D, B, E flat, C. We were attempting to double the root. Third was in the bass, fifth in the tenor, root in the soprano. The D in the alto moves contrary to everybody else to double the root. Root, root, third, fifth. The D could not ascend like everybody else because the bass is already moving D, E flat. So if the bass is moving D, E flat, then the octave above alto can't do the same thing, or it would create 8/8 parallel octaves between the alto and the bass. So there's always some contrary motion to the bass, and this time it was in the alto. The voice exchange in this instance took place between the alto and the bass. The bass C ended up in the alto, and the alto, that's E flat that it started on, transferred to the bass. Look at measure 9. Measure 9 has 4 chords. We're in the key of G minor. The key signature is B flat major, B flat E, G, stepping down a minor third, G. G, B flat, D, G. There's a G minor chord. It's 1. C, C, E flat, and A, C, E flat. That is a 2. It's an A diminished chord over C in the bass. So it's 2 diminished. The third is in the bass, which means we need to put a 6 there to show that the interval from the root up to the, from the bass up to the root, C up to A, there's the 6. Here's the 5 chord, D, A, D, F sharp. That is our D major chord. 5, it is major. Back to a G minor. G, B flat, D, G. Back to G minor and back to a 1 chord. In this instance, the 2 is the diminished triad. A, C, E flat, as the 1 chord moves to the 2 chord. Notice that the bass descends, G, C, while the soprano, alto, and tenor both ascend by step. From 2 to 5, 2, 1, 7, 6, 5, that's down a fifth, so there should be 1 common tone, but I don't see a common tone. A is in A, C, E flat, and it's in D, F sharp, A, but the A didn't stay in the soprano. So notice that this is our part writing assignment number 2, where it's root movement by fifth, the bass ascends, the soprano, alto, and tenor all move in similar motion. In this instance, they're all descending to the nearest, to the closest member of the next chord. So A, C, E flat, moving to D, F sharp, and A, descending, the closest chord tone is F sharp, E flat, D, C, A. And moving from D to G, notice that the alto has the common tone between D, F sharp, A, and G, B, D. F sharp ascends by step to G, A ascends by step to B flat. Make certain that you replicate this exactly. Measure 10 is in A minor, no key signature, or no sharps or flats. Move on to page 2 of this handout, and it says voice leading minor mode when 5 moves to 6. Both of these chords you will mostly encounter only in root position. Because the root movement is 5 to 6, they're a step apart, their roots are a step apart. Specifically, their roots are a minor second apart, there are no common tones. And we have to double the third like a diminished triad. Wow, but it's a major chord. Don't we usually double the root? Well, yes, we do. But if we were to try to double the root, we are going to make some egregious errors. In order to avoid some egregious errors, we double the third. So let's take a look at measure 15. We're in C minor. So C, E flat, G, C. There's our C chord. Scale degree 1 is in the soprano. It's a minor chord, minor 1 chord. The second chord, G, D, G, B natural. The leading tone is in the soprano, scale degree 7. That is our G major chord. That is 5. Notice the leading tone always has an accidental. The next chord, A flat, C, E flat, C. We're back to scale degree 1 in the soprano, but it is an A flat major chord, and that's our major 6. Notice that in a minor key, the root of the 5 chord to the root of the 6 chord is a minor second. Up above it says soprano, alto, tenor. The leading tone resolves up by half step to tonic. That's going to create 10-10 or 3-3 with the bass. Whichever voice has the leading tone needs to go up to tonic. The leading tone was in the soprano. We already know that when the leading tone is in the soprano, it will return to tonic. G, B, that's the 10. A flat, C, that's the 10-10. We started out an octave apart. Took care of that. The G, so now we have, take care of the bass. G to A flat, there's the root, and we have the third. If the G in the alto were to move by step up to the A flat, it would create parallel octaves with the bass. G, A flat, G, A flat. So that's not allowable. So the only choice for the alto is to move down to the E flat. That's fine. G, E flat, there's the 5th. We now have root, 3rd, 5th. Now let's look at the tenor. The tenor is on a D natural. It cannot go down to double the bass. D natural, A flat, that's a tritone. D down to A flat is the augmented 4th. D to A is a 4th. D to A flat is an augmented 4th. You cannot have a tritone or an augmented interval within the linear motion in a given line. Remember that from when we were studying soprano and bass lines. So the D cannot go down to A flat. The D, if it were to go up to an E flat, would form parallel fifths. The bass is G, A flat, G, D. That's a perfect fifth. If the tenor moves up to E flat, then we would have perfect parallel fifths. We'd have 5-5. That's not allowable. So the D can't go to E flat, it can't go to A flat. Its only choice is to step down to C, doubling the third. So root, third, third, fifth, like you would double a diminished triad. That is very specific to voice leading when you're in the minor mode and 5 moves in root position to a 6 in root position, such that their steps, their roots are a minor second apart. Okay, top of page 3 of this handout. It very specifically then lists other type of root movement by step. When 1 moves to 2, when 4 moves to 5, when 4 moves in a minor key, minor 4 moves to 5, and in a major key when 5 moves to 6. Double the root in these instances, and soprano, alto, tenor need to move contrary to the bass, and there will be no common tones when the root movement is by step. So in this first instance, we're in C minor, C moving to a 1, 4, 5, 1. No, it's the minor 4 moving to a 5. There are no common tones between F, A flat, C, and G, B natural, D. The bass is ascending, all the other voices are ascending. So be very careful when you are writing root movement by step, that because there are no common tones, it will be very easy to create parallel fifths or parallel octaves. You have to be very attentive to have contrary motion in the soprano, alto, tenor in comparison to the bass.